Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the info session for the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship Program 2026-2027 cohort. My name is Karen Jit, and just a couple of homekeeping or housekeeping rules before we dive into the session. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the session. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to use the chat feature or even the raise hand function and wait for the facilitator to give you the floor before you unmute yourself. For any questions or comments that you have or any questions that you would like to ask, please wait for the Q&A session that we will have. And if you would like to leave your camera on, you'll feel free to do so. All right. So for the next 1 hour, we will be taking you through Fulbright as well as MACEE and talking to you and giving you more information about the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship Program. Together on this call with me today is our Fulbright Senior Program Manager, Ms. Teo Z. Im. And we also have our very esteemed alumni who have just returned from the US, Dr. Wan Muhammad Zul Hafiz. He's the Humphrey alumni for the 25-26 cohort, and he's here to speak and share his experience with each one of you. Now, the webinar will end with a Q&A session, so please feel free to ask your questions during this session. Now, I would like to hand it over to Zim to introduce you to MACEE as well as to talk to you about Fulbright. Zim, over to you.
Thank you so much, Karen, and a very good afternoon to all of you for being here today at exactly 3 p.m. Now it's 3:05. I'm going to run through a bit on the Fulbright program and also on MACEE and what we do. The Fulbright program is the flagship international academic exchange program sponsored by the US government since 1946. And the program has only one ambitious goal, which is to increase mutual understanding and to support friendly and peaceful relations between the people of the United States and its global partners. To date, the Fulbright program has awarded approximately 8,000 merit-based grants. This comprises of students, scholars, teachers, professionals of all backgrounds and fields. There are different programs, and all these programs are run in partnership with more than 160 countries worldwide, which also includes Malaysia. Next slide, please, Karen. And in 49 of these 160 countries, we have independent binational commission, like MACEE. What it means by binational is that MACEE is actually co-owned, co-authorized by both the US government and also the Malaysian government. Our honorary co-chairs are the Malaysian Minister of Higher Education, as well as the US Ambassador to Malaysia. In countries where there is no binational commission, the program actually is administered by the US embassies in cooperation with the host country's government. For MACEE, again, as you can see from the slide, we only have one mission as well as the program is to facilitate educational diplomacy. And you will hear, I think, in the next two sessions or one session when it involves alumni, there is this term that we like to use to minimize administrative anxiety. What it means by that is that MACEE will hold your hand from the moment the program opens, from application all the way through to you securing your visa to the United States, regardless of program. And under MACEE or Fulbright Malaysia, there are 7 programs which sends Malaysians to the US, and we have 3 programs that bring Americans to Malaysia. Um, with that said, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and thank you to Dr. Wan Zul Hafiz. When Karen mentioned that he just came back from the program, he literally just came back like yesterday. So Dr. Wan, our sincere thank you. We hope you had a great time in the States. We hope the program was useful. And I know in our last 5 minutes, you shared what you gained. And I can't wait to hear the sharing session later. So, Karen, back to you to run through the program.
Thank you, Zim. And here we are, having this kind of info sessions with you and having alumni to talk to you, to give you more information about the program is, of course, generally to reduce the administrative anxiety as mentioned by Zim. So now let's look at what the component or what the program is about. Now, we know that the Humphrey program, as we call it, some in short call it Hubert Humphrey program, some in short call it the Humphrey program. This is a Fulbright exchange program which was established in 1978. This program is sponsored by the United States Department, the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, or in short is what we call as ECA. Now, in terms of the work that we do, Humphrey Fellows that goes on this program actually work in critical areas or critical fields areas, laying down the groundwork for sustained engagement with the partners or with the university partners or the countries that participate for this particular program. So this program actually enhances leadership among international professionals who collaborate to address local as well as global challenges. So now through academic studies as well as professional development with the US counterpart, this has definitely created a global growing network where professionals get to share best practices and even build the expertise in areas like human and institutional capacity, rights and freedoms, sustainable lands, and even thriving communities, which these are the impact areas in the Humphrey program. Now, up until now, there has been about 46% of alumni that we have seen globally that has basically been able to develop national policies, even served as national trainers, or even be advised or working in a role of advising government officials in legislations in their home countries. We also have about 61% of alumni who have basically returned home from this program and serving in the government sector in some capacities. There are also about roughly 80% of alumni who have returned from this program and who has basically developed new best practices and basically management methods in their organizations. Now, the funding for the Humphrey program is provided by the US government, which is through the United States Department, right? And the partner that works with the ECA to administer this program is IIE, or what we call as short as what we call as the Institute of International Education. Now, the types of university programs for the Humphrey Fellows is actually, it differs from a traditional discipline-oriented program. The reason being because it's the objective of the Humphrey program is to allow fellows to be able to broaden or get an overall experience, and this would contribute in broadening their perspectives, enhancing their capabilities in order for them to be able to move up in their career, to get more career responsibilities, and also basically providing them a platform to develop useful professional contacts. So in terms of accomplishing these kind of objectives, the program is actually designed to include various kinds of combination of components, which is like coursework. It can be independent projects, any sort of internships or professional affiliations, even seminars or even field trips. So when a Humphrey Fellow is placed at a US university, together with the guidance of either a faculty advisor or even a coordinator, fellows are able to plan their programs to basically suit their individual career development needs. Now let's look at the eligibility of the program. Now, applicants who are applying for this program definitely has to be a Malaysian citizen, and at point of time that they are putting in their application and being selected for the interview, applicants have to be residing in Malaysia. They also need to have a minimum of a university degree, which at least requires 4 years of a full-time study. Applicants needs to be also working in either public or private sector with a minimum of 5 years of work experience in the relevant field prior to August 2025. Now, we also look for applicants who demonstrate leadership ability and commitment to public service. In addition to that, applicants will also need to have an assurance of re-employment once they return home after completing the Humphrey program. Now, in terms of proficiency, also we do look at applicants who are proficient in English, both written as well as spoken. And for this program, applicants will be required to sit for a TOEFL test. So in terms of score, we look at a minimum score of 71. Now, at the point of application, you do not have to register or you do not need to have a TOEFL score, because for shortlisted candidates, the voucher will be provided to them to sit for the TOEFL test. And normally, shortlisted applicants should take their test between May to September 2025. All right. Also, to fully benefit from this program, we look at applicants who are at a career where you will be receiving the maximum benefit from the duration that you go for this program in the US. Also, of course, we look at applicants who has got basically limited or there's no prior experience to either working or studying in the US. Now, in terms also, we also not just look at those who are what you have right now before applying, but also when you return, to be able to exhibit a commitment to return home after your fellowship and use those skills that you gain for at least 2 years once you have acquired within your community, as well as also Malaysia. So in terms of also sharing, we would also want the applicant to be willing to share the knowledge gained of there once you are there, not just sharing about your culture, but also in your social and civic in other groups that you are associated with while you are in the United States, or also with whatever networks that you have built while you are there. So in terms of the information about this about the program, the Humphrey program is a non-degree academic study program. It is for a duration of one academic year, which is for 10 months, right? So the Humphrey Fellow will be in the US for 10 months, and this is a non-renewable program. Okay, so Humphrey Fellows are not allowed to transfer, or you cannot transfer from a non-degree status to a degree status through under any circumstances during the 10-month duration of the program. All right. So I would like to stress that this is classified as a non-degree program under the Student and Exchanges Information System, which is a US visa system, or what they call it as service. So even though you are going to spend or part of the component of the program requires you to be enrolled in subjects, or you will be taking classes as it will be an academic setting, this is definitely a non-degree academic study program. All right. So another thing participants or applicants needs to be aware of is that placement will be done for you. All right. So you will be placed in a US host institution based on your field of study or based on your field that you will be working on. So therefore, you may not request placement in any university, and you strictly have to complete your 10 months of the grant at that specified university. Now, when you are placed at each university, you will be designated either a coordinator or an advisor who will basically assist you in planning your program. right? So in terms of any academic or administrative support that you're needed, you will be assigned this faculty advisor that you'll be liaising very closely with. Now, just take note that activation, or what we said as successful activation of a Fulbright grant, will be based upon you having a valid passport, a valid J1 visa, and successful entrance to upon point of entry to the United States. Okay. A little bit more about the program information. As mentioned, that the duration award is for one academic year, which is 10 months, right? Briefly mentioned just now that on the impact areas, so here we look a little bit more in depth. Uh, the impact areas of human and institutional capacity is covering subtopics of economic policy and finance. There is public policy analysis as well as public administration, and technology policy as management. Under rights of freedom, we look at communication and journalism, law, and human rights. So there's additional two more. Sustainable lands, we look at cover of agriculture and rural development, natural resources and environmental policy, as well as urban and regional planning. So if you're planning to apply anything on, if your field falls under public health or substance abuse, even whether it is educational, administration, planning or policy, then it will come under the impact area of thriving communities, right? Now, just a note that if you are applying under substance abuse and education, the ECA, or the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs, they will normally cooperate, or they have a cooperation with the National Institute of Drug Abuse. So there may be some co-funding that might be allowed to the Humphrey Fellow to specifically look into the field of substance abuse. So if you plan, or if you have the experience and you would like to apply and your field of areas under substance abuse, you must be able to provide us with a little bit of research background in the field as well. And this also goes not just in substance abuse, but in whatever area that you actually plan to apply for. Do give us a little bit of research background in the field that you plan to apply, as well as what is the policies that you've taken, or what are the results, or whatever actions that you have taken. Please provide us a little bit more information in depth in that area that you are currently focusing on. Okay, so as mentioned just now, here let's look a little bit more deeper about what are the components of this Humphrey Fellowship. Now, it's divided into multiple components. First, there is a component where there is several types of professional enrichment activities, and this is how or you are flexible to plan out your own individualized program plan. And there's also a professional affiliation. So in terms of professional enrichment activities, the fellowship covers a Humphrey seminar. So this is a required course where normally Humphrey Fellows develop their own individual program plan. Basically, what it focuses on is on the program objectives, and of course to increase the understanding between the US society and culture. So in terms of program plan, this is where your faculty coordinator or advisor will be sitting down with you to come up with this detailed plan. And this detailed plan that you are going to provide to them, normally they will actually advise you to come up with an individualized program plan at the early part of the program itself. So whatever professional networking activities you would like to join, in leadership activities you would like to join, or you're planning to propose, this is something that you would have to actually discuss with your faculty coordinator to see what works best. There is also a component of global leadership forum, which you are encouraged to participate. And this forum normally is basically focusing on enhancing leadership and your professional skills. It could be also to give you an understanding of any political processes and institutions that is whichever leadership forum, or which host institution hosts this global leadership forum. Okay. The other component is also the professional development component. Now, this includes participating in an experience that is going to be held at a US community college. This will actually be about a week, and it will be a week of learning and sharing experience and activities that will be organized. So normally fellows are matched with one participant from that particular community college. So this is a best platform for you to be able not only to build your network, but to put forward any ideas and to share whatever relevant experience within your field, right? There is also academic enrichment, which Humphrey Fellows should basically take full use of and make the best opportunity of. So this is where Humphrey Fellows will be placed in cohorts. Now we have got 11 host universities that will be actually that are participating in such an academic arrangement. So you can be placed in any one of these university based on your professional experience. The aim of actually having such academic enrichments or even professional development or any sort of enrichment activities is to give you a chance to not only meet I would say other professionals, but to meet American counterparts and also get to know regarding their field of work as well. Okay, now that is talking about the professional arrangement activities. In terms of professional affiliation, this is a 6 weeks experience, and a Humphrey Fellow will be placed at a US based governmental or a non governmental, or can even be a private sector or an international organization. So, this 6 weeks that the Humphrey Fellow goes for will actually give exposure to a fellow to what will be like in a US work environment for a full time basis. Right. So, How is it like being able to work with people in a work environment and on a full-time basis? So also to be able to give the Humphrey Fellow a platform to just not only, I would say, build network, but to also share best practices within their field, and also to see what the real world like settings in terms of classroom learning and so on. So coming back to each and every component of this particular program, please work early in the academic year together with your faculty advisor and come up with a detailed professional plans of activities to fully utilize the whole chance that is given to you, and to be able to actually gain the best out of things and also build up your network that actually whatever aim that you're going for, all the activities you're able to fully utilize and make full use of it. Next, let's look at the award benefits of the program. The Humphrey Fellow provides a round trip airfare. It also provides the Humphrey Fellow with a monthly stipend, a one-time settling allowance, as well as a one-time computer allowance. There is also travel allowance that is provided. This is for incoming as well as traveling back. There's a two-time payment of book allowance that is given to the fellow as well. There's also professional activity allowance that is given. In addition to that, there is also tuition and host university expenses, and there is the SP coverage, or what we call as the accident and sickness health benefit coverage for the Humphrey Fellow. So now let's look briefly about how to start the application. Now, if you haven't started your application yet, please do so. You will have to go through the MACEE website and visit the Humphrey program announcement page in order to start your application. So once you actually start, once you hit the button to apply, you will actually be directed to this website where you will actually see the application management screen. So if you are a first time user, you will actually have to create an account. And if you have already have an account, but you have started your application and you are returning, please please log in as a returning user, and you should be able to resume your application. So as a new user, once you log in, you will be able to get the login credentials and use that to continue your application. All right. So once you log in, this is the welcome page that you will see with the information indicated. Please go through and read very carefully each information that is given there, especially also the instructions to ensure that you comply and complete all the sections that is required. Okay. There's also a section where it will be covering on data privacy just for this. So basically just read through the information, and you will just need to select yes at the bottom part of the page in order to be able to continue. Now, once you have done that, you'll be directed to a section that's called preliminary questions. Now, under the preliminary questions, there's also some questions that you will need to answer in order to be able to proceed. One thing that you will need to take note of under this section is just ensure that the academic year that you are applying for is correct, and that should be for academic year 2026-2027. So in terms of country information, this is also a brief section as well. Just review all the information under this section. And once again, just ensure that the current application competition year, which is indicated, is correct. It indicates 2027. Now, once you have done all that, you will actually be going into the most comprehensive part of the application, where you will actually be looking at all the sections that you will need to complete, and this is where you'll be providing a lot of crucial information. Now, the first one would be the section where it's asking you for your personal information. This is very basic. You'll be just be providing your personal information, and then you will be going on to providing the next section, which will be information on your dependent. Now, just take note that under this section, you will need to inform us if there is any accompanying dependents that will follow you for the program. If you have to state how many dependents that will follow you for the program. The next section, we collect information about contact. So please provide us with your email, your mailing address, and if there's any emergency contact details that we need to take note of. In terms of the following section, which is the academic history, this is where you'll be listing all your secondary institutions. This is also the section that you will use to upload all your academic transcripts as well as your certificates. So in terms of the following section, which is the professional profile, just take note. Here you will need to include information on your current employer or even your organization, your work histories, as well as if there's any awards or recognition that you have received. So please use this section to give us that information. In terms of language skills, what you will need to let us know is give us information on your native language as well as your English language proficiency. Okay, so don't get confused. There's another section that's asking on English language, but this one is asking for information about your TOEFL scores. So you will just need to read and take note of the information under this particular English language section, and there is just a text box, a checkbox that you will have to tick, and then it will allow you to proceed to the following section. So there is not much, you do not have to provide scores under the English language testing section. Yeah. Okay, so one of the crucial component out of this application is the essay questions, which is going to be giving us an information about not just your program plans or your leadership and so on, but you will have to answer certain sections, and they are components of the application as well. And I will go a little bit in depth I will cover more information shortly, the next slide. But I just want to let you know, this is also the section where you will need to let us know what is your field of study or your subspecialization. Now, once you do that, it will once you provide that information, you will be able to see the questions that you will need to answer, as well as the sections which will fall under leadership or even goals in your program plans. All right, so the last few sections are basically just general information. Number one is experience abroad. So if you have travel experience abroad, please do indicate it under the experience abroad section. And for additional information, this is for you to upload any supplemental or any supporting materials you have in order to support your application. There's also a very short outreach survey that you will have to complete under this particular section as well before you finally proceed to the recommendations. Now, for recommendations, we would want you to register the recommenders information and provide us with complete information. Now, once you register your recommenders using the online system, they will receive an automatic email on instructions to complete an online recommendation form. All right, so they have to provide their recommendation using the online form. So therefore it's very crucial for you to request for a recommendation from individuals who basically can speak about your ability, your potential, as well as those who are familiar with your work. All right, you only need two recommenders. Now, just to let you know that sometimes when the system sends out this email to your recommenders, sometimes they may not see it in their inbox. So if that's the case, just get them to check their junk or their spam folder as well. They may find it there as well. Okay. So the last two sections is basically a signature and review. So before you sign off everything as true and complete, we would want you to review your information that you submitted, review your application for any errors, any inconsistency, make sure that everything is complete, all your supporting documents are complete before you sign and submit your application. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's look a little bit more overview on the essay questions, right? So when I mentioned there is a couple of sections that you will need to complete. Now, the first one is basically before diving into specific sections, there is one where it's going to ask you an overview. Now, in terms of overview, what we will look at is applicants will be required to provide a brief summary, a summary of your professional experience in your field of study that you're applying for, and how this is going to apply or how this relates to your goals for the Humphrey program. All right. Now, ideally, what we will look for is a summary that does not go beyond 1,000 characters. So as you go answering your summary or before you start typing your information in the text box that is given in the online application, ideally what you can do is always make use of make use of writing your information or your points at the side, because once you start typing, there is going to be a maximum characters of 1,000 for this. So plan your answers properly and make sure that is every response that you are giving for every section that is mentioned here, it's to the point, and be specific as possible. Now, in terms of leadership, what we will look at is an applicant that needs to talk about how your work basically addresses any short or long-term needs of your country, in this case, Malaysia. We would also want the Humphrey Fellow to, or the applicant to describe how the knowledge and the skills you will gain through the Humphrey program will further address the needs of your country. All right. So in terms for the leadership question, plan your answers carefully, and it should not exceed more than at least 1,500 characters. Next, we move on to goals and program plan section. We want you to describe your professional goals to us. We want you to talk about what type of impact you hope to achieve in your field after the Humphrey Fellowship Program. We would also want you to talk to us or give us details about the academic and professional experience that you would want to choose when you're deciding your Humphrey Fellowship Program. Use this section as well to describe to us and talk about how these experiences will help you to achieve all your goals. Right? And for this particular section, we do not want your answers to be more than 2,000 characters. So looking at what information that is required is very crucial for you to be as specific as possible in all your responses. Now, the last one which we talk about is public service and a challenge statement. Public service would be asking you to talk about a scenario which you have demonstrated. As you know that we would want to see applicants who has a strong commitment to public service. So we would want you to describe a scenario where you have demonstrated a strong commitment to the public service. So for example, it can be either through community engagement, any involvement that you have had with any, whether it's a civic involvement, any professional responsibility that was given to you. So describe that scenario. And when you are describing the scenario, take note of we do not want your response to exceed more than 1,500 characters. Now, lastly, in terms of challenge statement, before you end the essay question, this is where you're going to be describing either a problem or it's going to be a situation that you're going to tell us, which is a challenging situation that you have encountered, and the initiative that you have taken to resolve that particular situation. Now, in terms of like what steps did you take, what was the outcome, right? So if you can select an example that will illustrate something that a review panel would want to see in terms of that example, that's going to highlight your problem solving skills, your leadership skills, your commitment. This is what we are looking for. Okay. Now, there is also a word count for this, which is a maximum of 2,500. So just ensure that whenever you are attempting or you have actually already written your essay or your responses for all these essay questions, please review them again to ensure, number one, that you fulfill the word count. Number two, you are specific, and that your responses that you're going to put forward is not only well structured, it is also clear and it's also concise. All right, a little bit more about recommendations. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, we would want you to submit a maximum of 2 professional references. They have to go through the online, they have to fill up the online reference form. So one of the reference that must come in will be required, and this is mandatory. It has to be from your work superior. So it has to be from your current work superior. Now, the next professional or the next recommended that you can actually approach to get a professional reference, it either can be any professors that you know, any work colleagues that you know, anyone who can basically speak on your ability and the volume of work, your volume of your character as well. Just take note that we do not want family members to serve as a recommender, so that cannot be, family members cannot be their recommender. And also, as I've mentioned, that recommendations by your recommenders must directly come in via the application or the online application. So whenever you reach out to your recommenders, please also reach out to them that they will need to confirm their email address, and also confirm that they are willing to complete the recommendation form for you. Now, most of the time, one of the common problems we see in terms of recommenders, or whenever someone wants to approach, is they have actually already registered a recommender's information inside, but that particular individual is not available to complete the online form for that particular applicant. So willingness, getting someone who is willing to take the time and also complete the online form for you on time or by the application deadline is very crucial as well. So this is something that you should take note of if you are planning to approach anyone. So in terms of supporting documents, one of the supporting documents that we are requesting for is academic certificates and transcripts. Just ensure that the transcripts that you're submitting and official certificates that you're submitting, it should be from all your post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Transcripts basically must indicate all the courses and subjects that you have taken along with the grades as well. Now, if you're able to provide certified copies, that will be good. We also, in addition, we also want you to provide your CV. So please upload a CV, which is a compilation of your work experience, your educations and skills. And ultimately, it should ideally be 4 pages, not exceeding that. And do submit to us in a PDF format. Okay, lastly, so with all the information in terms of the online application process and so on, so what's next? So what is next is, if you haven't started your online application, please do so. Kindly submit your application to MACEE by the deadline, which is by July 16th. Now, after the deadline, MACEE will review all the applications, and shortlisted candidates will be notified for the interview, which will take place in August. And once the interview finishes, normally the nominations will be passed forward to the US Department. And this is where the US State Department reviews all the application, the projects, and even the field of study and all the supporting documents. Now, in terms of nomination for finalists, nomination announcements roughly will be made, or finalists will be made aware of their nomination status roughly around March 2026. All right, so this is just to give you a kind of like an estimate of what are the next steps to look forward to. Okay, so with this now, I would like to start our sharing session, and I would like to call upon Dr. Wan Muhammad Zul Hafiz, who just returned from the US, to please come on screen. Yeah. Um, Thank you so much, Dr. Zul. And yeah, so before we kickstart the Q&A question, sorry, the Q&A session, I do have a little bit of a question for you. Now, we have seen, like, so much of information, a little bit, could be a little bit overwhelming in terms, right? Um, can you, and I've explained about the components of the program as well, but you as an alumni who has just returned, is it possible, or could you just walk us briefly through about what are the main parts, components of the program that actually you went, and how the program structure was for you?
Okay. Thank you very much, Karen. Assalamualaikum and very good evening, everyone. Okay, my name is Wan Muhammad Salafis. I'm truly honored to be part of this session with all of you today. I was a Hubert Humphrey Fellow, we call it a Humphrey Fellow at the American University Washington College of Law in Washington, D.C. under the 2024 until 2025 cohort. I live in Kuala Lumpur, where I serve as an associate professor of law and also company secretary at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. So basically, I'll talk about the structure and also the components. Basically, the Humphrey Fellowship program is structured around 3 core components, as mentioned earlier by Karen. So the first one is the academic arrangements. The fellows basically, they're gonna do audit graduate level course program at their host institution. In my case, will be the UWCL, the American University Washington College of Law. I took 13 credits at WCL in energy law, in particular on oil and gas law, ESG law, climate change and policy, as well as the environmental law practicum. That's the first one. And the second one, the second component would be the professional development. So basically, the fellows will be engaging in the workshop, seminars, networking events. So I joined events like at the World Bank, at the US Capitol Hill, and also the Legal Roundtable. And the third component, basically, we call it as a professional affiliation. So professional affiliation is a practical work placement about 6 weeks. It can be split or extended. So I was attached to Retail Energy Advancement League, REAL. Plug AI as well as a Harvard Law School. So you can do like just one PA, you can do as many as you want. The maximum would be three usually. So basically, it allowed me to explore on the US perspective on energy policy, the ESG innovation, and also I was appointed, as I mentioned, as a senior research fellow at the Harvard Law School under the program in Islamic law. So those are the main three components, and as well as we are expected to do the voluntary work as well. So I was teaching, at some of the schools during weekend. Also, we do like charity works and voluntary work at the university. That's about it, Karen.
Right. Okay. So that's very interesting to know, Dr. Zo, because you, as before this call, I remember that you mentioned to us that you had fully utilized the time that is given, the experience that is given to indulge in many of the activities, and you gain quite a lot of insights as well. Now, we are welcoming a lot of questions from our applicants who are on call today. So feel free to drop in your questions in the chat box. I've seen that some of the questions has been addressed, so thank you so much. So while waiting for more questions to come in, I think Dr. Wan, I do have a follow-up question when when you're talking about the structure of the program or with the professional affiliation. Now, can you share with us, like in terms of your own individual program plan as well as the professional activity, how did you develop those throughout the fellowship? Was it something that you thought about it and you actually crafted it, you wrote it down and you planned it with your faculty advisor? Or how was it that you researched and you actually thought that, okay, these are the kinds of activities that I want to basically be involved in, and then planned it out accordingly?
Sure. So basically, I began by reflecting on three goals. That is my own personal goals. For the first one, I want to enhance my knowledge on climate change and also energy law. And then I want to expand my global network. And also, I want to explore on the ESG policy, the implementation in the US, so that I can bring it back to Malaysia. And then what I did, I created like a timeline based on the quarterly targets. Uh, we can divide into fall, which focus on the coursework and also the campus events. And then for the winter, and I tried to apply for the PA, the professional affiliation, and conducted outreach. And then for the spring, probably you can go for engagement with the professional affiliation. You can start with your professional and you can submit your research and you can present that your research or papers at any forums. And then I regularly updated my plan and also input from the faculty advisor and also the Humphrey program team and also my peers, other fellows, keep on getting information from them.
Okay,
Yes, Karen.
in terms of the professional affiliation, right? When you started planning for it, right? Now, how did you manage to secure the professional affiliation placement? That is one. And how much earlier did you, like you said, you actually looked at the academic, I believe the academic time frame or the calendar from your faculty, correct? Or your host university to plan out your activities. So how much earlier did you started planning for your 6 weeks professional affiliation?
So basically for the professional affiliation, I got the placement from the networking event by the alumni of the WCL of the university at the law school, and also from the networking that I know from any other events, as well like the one from the Harvard Law School. I submitted to like a formal application to the law school about the program as a senior research fellow. So you can just either go for the formal application or you can get the placement by doing networking. And also, what was the second question, Karen?
Like in terms of planning for this professional affiliation, like how much earlier do you actually how much earlier do you started preparing for it?
So basically, I started to apply. Okay, I have the plan like at the very beginning. I prepare like a proposal and then I try to apply as soon as I can. when I started the program, because it will take some time for me to get the placement. Because by like a January, it is expected for you to already have a placement, and also you start your internship. They call it a professional relation as an internship.
Okay, so when so just as to we do have some questions that are rolling in the chat, but just a quick follow-on question before we take some from the chat. Just so when you said that you need to have your professional affiliation, meaning your proposal submitted and approved because you need to kickstart this by January. So in terms of like you did your research and submitted everything to your faculty advisor in your first semester itself?
Yes, basically, we have the proposal, and then I'm gonna discuss with the faculty advisor about it, and then try to get some input and some feedback from them. And then from there on, I try to refine the proposal and submit the application to several organizations. So basically, the organization you can get either
Got
by
it.
networking or either by formal application. So basically, you have to update your CV and everything.
Got it.
So
Got it. So that's
yeah, the CV will be according to the US CV format rather than our format.
right. Okay. So that's definitely clearer in terms of how to plan and what you need to look for in order, and also how do you build or search for these organizations that you intend to get yourself affiliated with. Now, in terms of, for example, there's one question, I think I can take this. There's one from Tilagawati. Should we submit the English proficiency test results at time of application, or can we provide them later if we're selected? Okay, so for the English proficiency, which is the TOEFL test, shortlisted applicants or candidates will be given a voucher to sit for the TOEFL test. So at point of application, you do not have to sit for any English test, or you do not have to register and provide scores. You can provide them later if you are shortlisted because the voucher will be given. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Mr. Laga. Okay, there is a question from Elton. Just curious on this one, if it's possible to ask, would digital technology initiative fall under any of these impact areas? Example like AI or governance or ethics. What you can do is if you find, so Elton, go through the impact areas, and if there's anything that matches closely under the impact area that or the focus that you would like to actually apply for, you can add that impact area in. If it's not, you can drop us an email with more information, and we can check on this for you and let you know which will be the impact area that you can actually state in your application, so that it would be more precise and would fall under the area which you would like to actually apply for. Okay, there's one from Saslina, and this is for you, Dr. Wan. Just wondering, usually, do we choose the host university or is it assigned? I know we have actually covered this. It's actually assigned. You cannot choose. But maybe Dr. Wan, you just want to elaborate a
Yeah,
little bit more on this?
I just want to share experience about this. I was offered in the offer letter mentioned that my impact area would be natural resources and climate change. I thought that I'll be placed at the UC Davis, University of California, Davis, because that is basically for the natural resources climate change. However, I was placed at the American University, Washington College of Law, and I was wondering why. And then the one of the panels from IIE, she said that by looking at my proposal, it suits me better to place me at the American University, Washington College of Law, because the area is law and human rights rather than at the UC Davis, even though the impact area given was on the natural resources and climate change. So basically, they assign to us. It's not we ask for it.
Yes, that's true. And just to echo or to add on a little bit on the information that Dr. Wan just shared, when I applied MAIE actually does the placement. They will strictly look at your field of study and also your area, and they will actually match you with the host institution that serves you best in that field, where they know that the work that you plan to do in the US is going to be able to be very fulfilling. And when you are placed in that institution, your opportunities to actually build on the network is definitely far more better. Okay, there is one question from Ang Pei Su. Is there consideration for TOEFL test exemption for someone with degrees from English-speaking countries like UK and Australia? Unfortunately, no. Candidates will still have to sit for the TOEFL test. So even though if you have studied abroad and you have degrees or qualifications from any English-speaking countries, you still have to actually go through the TOEFL test, where vouchers will be provided. All right, so far, before we wrap up this session, I think we still have time for additional questions. So if you have any more questions for Dr. Wan or myself, please continue to put them in the chat. Dr. Wan, I just want to ask in terms of like, you know, mm, challenging parts of like, maybe let's talk about the application part, right? What was, when you're applying for the program, what did you found either more surprising or more challenging in your experience, whether it is your experience that you've been for the program or the experience in that you have applied for the program, the application part of it? What did you find that was so challenging, and how did you manage to adapt to it?
So I think the biggest challenge was to adjust to different academic and also the professional cultures, especially being far from my family back home in Malaysia. Um, my wife and also my kid, they all like back home in Malaysia. I will stay alone, but I tend to overcome it, by building like a new support and also a network among the fellows, and also we'll be given like a host family members. Um, and also I think the second one, to practice a self-discipline and also time management. You have to ask yourself like, why did I come here? I did come here because I want to leverage networking. I want to learn about their academics and whatnot. So you have to be like a carpe diem to grab all the opportunities as much as you can. And also you have to, I think the last one would be like, you have to embrace the independence. You have to learning to navigate yourself, to become like a life solo in a new country where it basically gonna transform your personal life. Yep, I think that's about it.
I would
Karen?
say definitely well said and very, yeah, definitely well said. A very proactive mindset to prepare yourself that you are in an environment where, yes, you will actually here to grab as much as you can. Um, so before we wrap up, I just have one last question for Dr. Wan. Now we have potential applicants on the call with us today. What would be your advice that you can offer to them?
So in your application, you have to, first thing first, you have to be clear about your goals and how the fellowship fits into your long-term journey. So it is you have to ask yourself about it, and then stay humble but confident. Okay, your experience matters. So you have a collection of experience. Those really useful. And then when it comes to the professional affiliation, so prepare as soon as you can when it comes to the CV and also your research plan as well as the proposals. And then if you got it, use the platform to grow, not just for the academic purpose, but also as a leader and also global citizen, because you'll be there, you'll be connecting with the US citizen as well as international. And finally, you don't underestimate the value of being open-minded and also adaptable. So be proud of being Malaysian.
Okay, Dr. Wan, just another last question for you to expand a little bit on what you just informed. Now, there is one question that is asking in terms of what is a must-have, or what is the significant point in the proposal that you have written, and is there anything that should be included in the proposal that makes it stand out from others. So if there's any tips that you can share or any advice that you think potential applicants can benefit from.
Okay. Very good points. I think, as I mentioned earlier, your experience matters. So whatever the experience that you got, try to translate it, try to transform it into the proposals. You can visit like how you're gonna learn, how you're gonna transform this proposal into the Humphrey Fellowship programs, what you can get from the Humphrey Fellowship program, so that you can bring back to Malaysia, and then so that you can do um like a change and what transformation. So that is the most important thing, and how to be, how to be like a unique, and also in terms of the proposals, you have to be clear to yourself, like what are the things that you want to do in the US. So what is your value, and then how you're gonna bring it back to your home country. I think that's about it.
Well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Wan.